Welcome to Diaspora UA channel. We have our guest today, Єрмак, who is an American volunteer helping Ukraine for... First of all, I would like to thank you for all your hard work and dedication, Єрмак.
Well, thank you, Bogdan. And I also want to say thank you for inviting me again on this Saturday, September 2nd, and my humble work for helping Ukraine liberate from Russian invasion been recognized, and definitely we have a lot of topic to cover today.
Yes, since you started volunteering, helping Ukraine in the meetings and in Congress, and meeting with congressmen, with senators, you learn a lot of different things, and I know you have different opinions than mainstream medias as well as I do. And how would you describe situation now, and what is the main problem in this Russian war?
Well, everybody have their own personal experience, and they definitely different. And in general perspective, I do have start helping Ukrainian people because I feel like literally my family never paid all the damage what Russia done for Ukraine. I see like business been destroyed. Like city was wiped out and destroyed. Life was completely destroyed, and I want to help. So what I decided to help locally, I want to help as much as I can to participate in Ленд-Ліз deal, because I found, and I strongly believe that Ленд-Ліз only way to help Ukraine to win, and really win shortest, there's less casualty and liberate territory what Ukraine has since 1991. So I start participate with Ленд-Ліз meetings. So I also came this idea to got involved Congress and Senate, and we already have several meetings attend, go to Capitol Hill and meet with senators and congressmen to initiate and ask for extension, Ленд-Ліз extension, and bring this for the Congress to release the needed weapons. And what basically happened, I see a lot of things happening right now on the battlefield, and I cannot describe enough how much I really appreciate all bravery Ukrainian people and Ukrainian fighters, Ukrainian armed force done on specifically battlefield, either like in Bakhmut area or like no direction on Melitopol. And what I see problem again, it's the same issue what we have in last year. It's lack of heavy artillery, tanks, Bradley vehicle, and obviously drone, heavy military drone like Reaper drone, and obviously it's aircraft. I believe that F-16 and even AHAG, which A-10, it's definitely needed for Ukraine to defeat Russian and liberate the invasion. So what I see problem also kind of like is disconnect supply line. Some Capitol Hill people think maybe differently. They just react because Ukraine already received many financial military aid, and people think what would be enough. But I think releasing a full scale of Ленд-Ліз, the scale of what was done in World War II, would be definitely game changer. Meaning, if United States able to send ships like 20, 50 ships, loaded equipment with Bradley vehicle, with tanks, 35 Abrams tanks, I heard today, going to be delivered to Ukraine in September. Well, September, it's a rainy season, and 65-ton Abrams tank going to be right in the stick in the mud. It's and 30, it's not enough. I have to have at least 300 Abrams tank can actually create spearhead where it can penetrate Russian defense line somewhere in Takma. and reach all the way to Azov Sea. That would be definitely something needed, but it's a little bit too late to supply Abrams tank because it's already too late. I mean, if tank arrive in September, like 3 weeks from now, they're going to have only minimum effect because in October and November going to rainy season, and nothing really stick as a 65-ton vehicle in Ukrainian mounts. That would be definitely disadvantage. So I'm looking for situations and also disconnect with support from Congress because they don't necessarily see much trust in corruption what we have in Ukraine. And a lot of people we met in the past, which is included Victoria Sparks. I met 4 times already with Victoria Sparks in studying since last June, and we went with a few people to ask Victoria Sparks to participate in a release Ленд-Ліз. Ukrainian people meet with Victoria Sparks that was right on town hall and ask for activate. But what basically happens, there is some kind of spell, bad blood between Єрмак administration.
Excuse me, who is Єрмак for people who don't know?
I'm talking about situation. Єрмак is chief of staff Zelensky administration. He literally involved in every single aspect, manage every single aspect, internal and international affair on Zelensky administration. He appointed national advisor, ambassador. He drive with. This is what actually happened to be one of a statement Victoria Sparks make back to last June 2020, and she doesn't trust Єрмак. And reason because Єрмак has extremely corrupt background. Victoria Sparks traveled in last April. This was July 8. She sent even a letter to President Biden saying it's need to investigate, and she takes this personally. She definitely born and lived 22 years in Ukraine. She finished college in Ukraine, and she has really strong roots in Ukraine. And she definitely wants to help Ukrainian as her own personal agenda. But when she started travel, she started to get feedback from people she talked on the grounds, and a lot of corruption's going on, a lot of military supply, a lot of things need to be done proper way. It doesn't done properly, and Єрмак, one of a person who in charge all administration and all affairs, who going to receive aid for Ukraine, and how going to be this distributed, and also included. So basically, what's basically happened somehow between they got a really bad blood between a person who literally have only interest to help Ukrainian as a part of her heritage, and somebody who managed Zelensky administration. They have really don't see eye to eye, and meaning they just literally and that was one of key point I try to mention, that a lot of things would be better if that conflict between corruption and the way how Americans way dealing. There is no money attached. There is no paybacks. There is no a schema, payback schema attached on military help. And that was one of a key point why Ukrainian doesn't have enough weapons. That's why sometimes what's happened, they just don't distribute it. And what been distributed, it's not even properly been distributed where it's needed specifically. And that's one of a key point I want to mention answering your question.
I remember she was giving interview on CNN somewhere last year in September, or I don't remember exactly when, but it was war was going on for a while, and she went to Ukraine dozen of time. She's not even talking about this when she visited. She was trying to find out why all these billions President Biden announcing they're not reaching to Ukraine. And we know from her interview, I was puzzled actually, because on CNN she said that when they asked her how this help Ukraine all these billions, she said, well, now help's reaching a little better because in the beginning only 10% of announced help was reached Ukraine, and now it's better because it's about 20. The latest report from Security Center, we know, says it's about 30% now reaching. The rest of this money, one way or another, they never leave United States, or they go to different program, to European country, weapon exchange, or I don't know how they do this exactly, but it looks like Ukraine is not getting all this money. And even latest few months ago, we saw the Pentagon kind of made mistake for $6 billion, if you remember. So I see there is a trail of possible corruption from both sides. And American, they don't know about it. They think Ukraine is getting all these billions. But it looks for me it's not true, and we have evidence. How would you describe this situation? Because it looks like it lies and corruption goes from both ways, like from the White House, I would say. Because they don't want to use Ленд-Ліз. Why? We have like 26,000, for example, armored vehicle in storage in just in one spot in California, as you know, and they could use all these previous Cold War era weapons instead of asking these billions to make new, and they will be delivered in a couple years. When who knows what is going to happen in a few years, even in 1 month. My question kind of long, but I think it's a lot of different things involved here. What's your opinion?
Right, there is several fractions, there is several question in your statement, and you're right. Maybe because it's Biden administration is too corrupt, and they see Ленд-Ліз as it's not perfect vehicle to help Ukraine, but rather to not use and have different scheme to use. So we have two things, two sides. We have corruption on Biden administration, which is historically corrupt. And with starting with Burisma, we saw this firing Viktor Shokin, it's Attorney General for Ukraine, because they don't want to expose all corruption. This family has history. They just like the DNA, literally, they have corruption in DNA blood line. So they try to use, let's say, a perfect vehicle which is eliminate all corruption, obviously supply unlimited number of tanks, weapons, whatever Ukraine asks. 500 tanks we have available. We have like
5,000. United States have 5,000 available. 5,000.
But available, yes, it's a different model. Even like, let's put this Korean War T-60 tank, which is used to be in one of perfect conditions, sitting in Sierra Nevada or Sierra Army Depot in California. They do have good running engines. They perfectly fine for condition, and they're not as heavy as Abrams tanks. So they have 5,000, but we are only ask 10%, and it's not too much to ask. And that's going to be this vehicle 5 years from now, or tanks going to be put in scrap metal anyway. So we use, but Biden administration sees it as whatever goes to Ukraine have to be a money attached, and that was how they corrupt. And from other hand, obviously, I admire Zelensky bravery and put together a country. But there is also Soviet-style corruption back to 90s, still sitting around, and people figure out, well, if it's money coming, well, we have to get a little bit more cheap from this type of support, and got wealthy, because all Americans, they rich people. Why would we not going to get rich? And that was two sides of corruption. But like I say, if a tank going to arrive in number, there is no money attached. There is no, you cannot literally take wheel from a Bradley vehicle and sell on black market. It doesn't work this way. It's only money can be manipulated or paid back or moved to different offshore account, and that only things on a broad picture. From the other side, obviously you expect if there is some military aid, which is Ukrainian or military aid for foreign country, there's like 6 or 9 different programs the Biden administration currently uses besides a presidential drawdown authority. That's also entitled to future order, and that goes to manufacturing and spread for, literally stay in the United States. That was part of also a way how they not reach, because it takes time to produce these weapons. My family work for major manufacturing military defense contractors, and I know they have great facility in produce javelin, shoulder weapons. They have great in Camel, Alabama, also Arkansas. They produce HIMARS weapons. They produce ATACMS weapons, but production limited. But there's some already stock available for this needed weapons for Ukraine, and ideally we need to just take these weapons from storage from same army depot, which we have not only California. I have talked with another host on a couple of days ago, and I mentioned there's 14 of them. Right from between California and Georgia, we have 40 like army depot, which is have aircraft, they have drones, they have tanks, they have artillery, 777 howitzer. That was available for storage, and that was the avenue we should deliver to Ukraine without specific corruption. And that was kind of like my point of view, what's going on the both sides of Ukraine and in the United States.
Yes, definitely. I would like to ask you about Congress, since you advocate in Ukraine interest in Congress. What the key points you emphasize when talking to Congress members about Ukraine increasing help?
Right. And let me just start from scale. Obviously, we spent several trips in Washington, D.C. We met with leading chair of leading army committee, intelligence committee on Congress, and that we met in people who chair in Congress. What we have actually most of Republicans have a drive and leadership on this committee. I'm talking about, let's say, Kevin McCarthy, who is speaker. We spoke with office in Steve Scalise, which is Steve Scalise is a majority Republican leader. We're talking about this James Comey. He's chairman of congressman from the 1st District of Kentucky. He's a chairman of Accountability Committee. We're talking, speaking with Michael Turner from Ohio. He is actually chairman of Intelligence. Obviously, we spoke with John McCall, is chairman of Foreign Committee, and that was the perception we have. once again, they're really extremely friendly, but they understand also necessity to help Ukraine in this critical moment. So definitely Congress, in particular, have one of a key player in Congress was Joe Wilson. He is a congressman from South Carolina, and he traveled with Victoria Sparks, and he traveled many times to Bucha. He been in Ukraine, and he one of his supporters Ukrainian cause in Congress. So we do have a lot of key players on Capitol Hill who support and try to help Ukraine defeat Russian, and that the reason we advocate for extension Ленд-Ліз not for next year, which is part of like a National Defense Appropriation Act, but another 4 years from now, because Russia not going to stop harass the Ukraine, because even they lost, even we wiped half of army, some of them, as I call this cockroaches, coming back, and they need to be also a kick in the face. And Ленд-Ліз will do exactly what needs to be done till Ukraine got enough weapons and built their own industry to defend themselves. So that would definitely answer for your question, how Congress and Senate has definitely a bilateral support in both sides, or not only Republican, but also in Democrat. For example, we have good traction with Senator Richard Blumenthal, which is the one person who traveled. You can see him on the picture. He traveled with Lindsey Graham on Independence of Ukrainian Day, just like last week. He came in give press conference. That's what overall that at Lindsey Graham, and there's several pictures on Richard Blumenthal, senator from Connecticut.
It was really great that we have so great bipartisan support, and we know also that not all Congress members are aware about this help, that not the whole amount goes to Ukraine. Did you have any impression they all know about this, or how would you describe their knowledge and approach to all this kind of misleading information we see from media that Ukraine getting a lot of help, but it's not actually true?
Well, I'm glad you asked. This is kind of detailed clarification question. Yes, you're right. Even go to every single congressman office. It can be like from Iowa, Johnny Ernst, or go to some member of, this is actually Richard Blumenthal. Go to what we try to do, and we go with a specific material which is explain what the actually number for military aid to help Ukraine. And instead, people got impressions they on specifically a negative role. It's work for a Washington Post just recently in the August or June published article explained that a lot of $1 billion go to Ukraine, and kind of like and we have to debug this nuance, or let's say it's a lie, because what we do have, we have a report from Center for Security Policy. We give exactly number how much been actually delivered to Ukraine, not planned, not allocated, but how much delivered. And we're talking about $18 billion. That was a check fact how much, and this is actually one of every office where we contacted. We deliver this article, we deliver main purpose on Ленд-Ліз, and I believe people start to, some of them start eyes opening, and every would like definitely welcome us to explain every time we talk about it, and we say the best way to help Ukraine not allocate money, but a little fully open floodgate for Ленд-Ліз and support with the weapon, not with the money. And weapons already been paid for. And that's every single, we visit at least 20 different offices in Capitol Hill for last 3 visits. We have with our team, you remember, and I also make 2 additional visits to distribute and ask for help. So every time when you go to office, you explain in literally what the benefits, and I speak with a legislative assistant or a national security advisor for a congressman, and we have extremely good traction. I follow up with emails, and I follow up with every single meeting we have. We follow up with emails and ask what would be have specific plan, and I try to see if this our plan start to execute it, even what we discuss, going to put in agenda for Congress. And this is how we approach on the Congress. So answer your question that yes, we do have the speaking number, we present document, we present a material for study, and we follow up with all this our visits. And I think this is one of key point to help Ukraine to get bilateral support from both party, Republican and Democrat, as well as also not only in Capitol or not on Congress, which is a United States representative, but also on Senate.
We had about 20 rallies in front of White House since New Year's. And we have a lot of records, a lot of different interference. But the most amazing, I would say, for me till now, the fact is the US media completely ignoring our meetings and our rallies in front of White House, like we never been there. We never did anything. And we know that Ukrainian embassy was involved, spreading the disinformation about our group and about Ленд-Ліз, and ask about censoring even information in Facebook and social media. Ukrainian leaders of some volunteer groups. And maybe that's part of the problem. But anyway, even media funded by U.S. Congress, like Voice of America or Radio Freedom, never, ever even show up in our meetings, despite we were inviting them, sending them emails, as well to all this organization, Ukrainian diaspora. So how would you describe the situation? It's like censorship from all kind of, I don't know who running this, but nobody even knows that we had so many rallies. We have live stream every time, but still this information not going anywhere.
That would definitely good question to clarify, because first of all, I want to say like thanks for bottom of my heart to people who gathering from January 1st this year already for 9 months are going to be, yes, tomorrow going to be another one. And they stand as like a guardian for a fight for Ukraine independence. They stand in freezing rain. We stand in hot scorching heat when people have like a 95 degree in Washington, DC. That was a really extremely high temperature. So that have to be these people heroes. They definitely defend Ukrainian freedom in a free world. They definitely they not defend. I mean, people who only heroes left its own battlefield, who fought invasion in Bakhmut and in different part of Ukrainian front, but that people deserve extremely good recognition and good credit. So what media happened, my feeling that somehow was put some gap, control or some gap on top of what's happening in White House. In front of White House every second Sunday every month. So people in media not necessarily it's not we don't have traction, because I believe there is some controlling control put in place where it says, oh, we don't have to have publicity. It's not priority. It's something we don't cover. It's not even people protested. We don't pay much attention, and that was purposely done specifically for different media, particularly like for CNN, NBC, CNBC, whatever we're going to name for this, what I call the fake media, which doesn't necessarily even say anything and doesn't want to report on this issue. So I cannot tell you who's controlling, but there is some kind of a control on a level where you have significant influence. Influence negative, put this way, disinfluence. It's just put a gap on coverage or put some screens or filter or whatever control this type of media coverage, and that would definitely happen. Because we have a lot of support from people who just literally walk by. We have people from Georgia came and they're part of supporting Ukraine. We have people from Africa came, they dance on support Ukraine. We have many different nationalities. We have Jewish people whose flag of Israel, they joined our group. We have extremely people even who live in the United States, even some of them came Russian background, Belarusian background. We have widely support from people like me and you, United citizens. And we have people who even play music for us. But media look like to me, they just definitely put some gap, and that was done by specific own background, maybe from even directly from White House. That just definitely control Democrat media, control Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, CNBC, NBC, whatever, you name it. That's what I definitely feel that would accurate what's really happening.
Yes, but we also know that allegedly Ukrainian embassy got involved, and you saw on meeting that there was U.S. veterans who came to support Ukraine, and they gave us a business card. They said, just notify us 24 hours and we're gonna send email, and thousand people all over United States will come to support you. Just 24 hours. But next meeting in 2 weeks, it didn't happen. So we puzzled, and we called the leader, and they said, I'm sorry, but I can't, one of the leader, I can't do this, I can't visit your meetings because someone from embassy, or I don't know who was exactly is that, but later on we got from other sources, it was from embassy, Ambassador Makarova was sending emails trying to misrepresent us as we are working for Russia, for Kremlin, for Putin. Despite these people, Ukrainian or American, they never ever been in Russian. They never been in touch even probably with Russian. And we just came to support Ukraine at peaceful meeting. And it looks like Ambassador Markarova, she also did this censorship on the social media. She also, I think, did violate some U.S. Constitution. She shouldn't be involved in any politics or any activity like this, especially if American citizens come in to peaceful, rallies, and she was interfering. So this leader of U.S. veterans apologized, and he said he got some calls from somewhere, from U.S. kind of attorney. I don't know exactly, but he said probably Mr. Sullivan involved. He's the reason, an embassy. So it looks like we got probably under... I don't know who did this, but it looks like it's White House involved. They don't like... We've been rallying there every second week since New Year. And that was claimed why media is not covering us.
Well, that would definitely, I was surprised. I mean, not surprised, that would something almost like criminal offense. If, for example, some foreign entities, even like a foreign embassy from foreign country, cannot interfere. And that was the violation, strong indication of violation our constitutional rights. Cannot interfere in any embassy, any foreign agent or registered agent cannot interfere for freedom of expression of United States citizens. If they're doing this, and I believe I don't see this Ukrainian veterans gathering any longer in our daily, on weekly or bi-weekly meeting in front of White House, and we welcome them and we miss them, and they definitely would be nice, beneficial for us, for all people who gathering in front of White House, see veterans support Ukraine like you see in the picture, but interfering and tells them not to gathering because they have like some kind of like organizational structure, which is it's only a way to control them. It would be somewhere on a higher level, on level of either like the government official contact. I cannot give you specific date or data because I don't. It's not happened in front of my eye, but it's just because I only can say something what not what would stop happening, and that was my impression. Otherwise, that American veteran who fought in Ukrainian heritage, who fought in World War II, veteran of armed force, they cannot be stopped by anyone. Besides just like I don't know, it's like Attorney General. It's not even their authority stop. But I believe if they got a little bit more warning, a sign or indications, they've been kind of like a prohibit to get gathering or assemble in front of White House, that would indicate me there is something background happening. I cannot speculate who personally done this. I know that was obviously foreign entity cannot do this legally, and it's criminal act, it's criminal offense.
I hope this video will see somebody from I don't know, from the authorities and investigate who was calling the leader of U.S. Citizens, U.S. Veterans, who was protecting freedom of this country, who was fighting for this, risking their life. And if we help in Ukraine, why embassy got involved, allegedly scared all these leaders, all this organization, and violating our rights, constitution. So what we fighting for in Ukraine, even if we can gather in support of Ukraine, advocating Ленд-Ліз, more weaponry, not more money, and we got already violated with our rights. I hope somebody will see this and address it. And I think we have to talk about this more in Congress when we go there. This is definitely not the way supposed to be approached. And we didn't do anything. We didn't violate any American laws. We did everything according to the law. We got permission, everything. And it's so sad, all these veterans, all this organization just got, pushed out of the meetings and nobody knows about this. But anyway, I would like to ask you, maybe I forgot something to ask you. Maybe you can tell me something that you want to tell at the end of our conversation.
Well, first of all, obviously, we need to continue. Even officially, Ленд-Ліз been expired in August 30th. We need to continue to support Ленд-Ліз. We have Senate, which is Ленд-Ліз law, and now extension for Ленд-Ліз law, which is called as Amendment 1019, which is introduced by Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal to extend this Ленд-Ліз for next fiscal year till on 2024. We need to continue approach and fight both chambers of Capitol Hill Congress and Senate to extend this Ленд-Ліз law not only for next year, because obviously it's going to be just too short to have it. 2024 will be continue some military action. So we need to extend for another 4 years to support Ukraine with unlimited weapons. We also need to address issue with this type of situation when our taxpayer money funded Voice of America, and they literally banned talk about Ленд-Ліз. They banned to promote and to provide a different perspective on Ленд-Ліз and say, no, we don't need Ленд-Ліз. So that definitely something needs to be addressed in the future. And also a corruption case, I believe, according to my knowledge, might be Jane Comey and Kevin McCarthy says in September, they might be introduce articles of impeachment. We have to stop corruption in a high level in Biden administration, and that would affect because it's so much money involved. Biden don't necessarily motivate to release Ленд-Ліз. So we need to change this type of not only perspective of Biden administration, but if necessary change Biden administration itself, maybe we have better chance, and that would going to be help Ukraine to fight specifically have enough weapons to fight and liberate the territory. Only from perspective, I'm not in power to tell what Ukrainians have to do, but there is a lot of also smoking gun coming from Ukraine that with corruption not going to be addressed, election going to be postponed somehow till war it's ended. There is some type of perspective then money going to be controlled by few corrupt individuals, and that would have to be, it's not good for Ukrainian people because people dying on battlefield. They don't have enough, and the everyday casualty, every day we don't have shield over Ukrainian school years just started. They bump kindergartens. They bumped 3,000, according to my knowledge, 3,000 schools been destroyed by Russian. And so they don't go to, so that would definitely help to more weapons to from United States to fight the aggression. But also what I want to also address, Ukraine have to be also start to develop and really rapidly their own military industrial complex, like military production, anything, weapons, vehicle, ammunition, that definitely will be a strong message, send strong message to not only for entire Russian, but also entire world communities, and Ukraine have to be stand on their own legs. They have to be stand strong and produce enough weapons. Like in Israel, they produce their own tanks, they produce the Iron Dome, they produce a lot of weapons to defeat aggression from all around Israel. That would have to be a picture, have to be make mirror in Ukraine. That's my opinion.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope we're gonna unlock the Ленд-Ліз, and we hope we're gonna somehow investigate this interference in the United States Constitution, citizens' rights, breaking this from embassy or whoever it is. But from my understanding, it wasn't Russian intelligence, even if, I mean, Russian, somebody from Russia, because who can try to violate rights and call U.S. veterans? No Russian will do this. I think hopefully we're gonna resolve this, and it will never happen again. But damage is done definitely, and these people should be, I think, prosecuted according to the U.S. law in full extent.
Well, obviously, that definitely we have a lot of things happening since maybe changed administration, and that violation, like freedom of speech, freedom of expression, is not acceptable. We have to have a better like attorney general who actually have to look in this violation. I'm not in position to be attorney general or that have power to prosecute it, but that if it's happened with veterans, it can be happened with anyone. It can be happened with you and me on different article of constitutional rights, like even like bearing arms, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and etc. So that definitely not acceptable, and I agree that have to be fully extended and prosecuted for full power of United States Constitution or law.
Yeah, thank you so much, German, for all your dedication, all your help for Ukraine, and for your communication with Congress. We hope we're gonna find more support on our meetings. Next meeting will be, I mean, a rally will be tomorrow, September 3rd, and in 2 weeks. So we invite everyone who can come and support Ukraine. We're not asking for more money for billions, new billions of monetary help. We're asking for specifically for the weapon that already was made and sitting in a desert and probably never gonna use it. The United States never gonna use it because some of it is already obsolete, but it's still good for Ukraine. So we hope we can unblock the Ленд-Ліз, and we hope more Americans will join us, as well as veterans who was supporting us before they got called from somewhere. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon, I think, again, and hopefully we'll have more good news next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bogdan. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!